commitment to being a game hawker is big. This is a way of life.
Falconry gets its hooks into you so deeply.
Falconry is just this deep attachment to the bird.
We're attracted to animals that are powerful. People want to get close to that.
People think this is just such a romantic thing to do. They don't realize how difficult it is.
It's a lifestyle. I mean, it's just like having a child. It consumes all your time if you're going to do it right.
You've invested so much in this bird developing its potential that it just becomes all-consuming, and before you know it, this has taken over your entire life.
This is the first book that I read on falconry. I actually couldn't read it because I was so young I didn't understand it. I made the equipment out of one of my mom's old purses, the jesses, the lures and the leashes and stuff like that. So this is the book by E.B. Mitchell. When I was visiting Pakistan, local falconers gave me a setup. This is the style of equipment they use to go to another country and to see different types of falconry equipment is really interesting. They want me to use these things, but they're so nice, I kind of get afraid to use them. When I train any bird, I really like to build a relationship with those birds. I really like to make that bird feel comfortable with me. Come on. You can't discipline a falcon. Falcons don't react the same way a cat or a dog would.
It's definitely not a pet relationship unless you're the pet.
You put out a lot of effort and you get, very, very small rewards.
You can't hunt or fly your birds if you don't have a healthy bird. I will make sure that their mutes, their droppings look good, so I know that their food is being passed. And then I weigh him to make sure he's at a good flying weight condition. Stay there, it's okay. I write down the things that I like to know when I'm out training my bird. He flew 1,000 feet and he caught that duck and his weight was 800 grams. And the temperature was 25 degrees. When we're hunting, it's a lot more difficult than you think. It's not like when a person has a gun, they can shoot 5 ducks in an afternoon. The game that I hunt with my birds are designed to escape. How you doing, buddy? It's extremely difficult to train and develop a bird to catch stuff from over 1,500, 2,000 feet. And that's where I want my birds to fly. Come on. Come on.
If you're putting your bird up in really terrible places and there's no game, they'll just go, well, this guy's a terrible hunter. I don't want anything to do with them. They'll just fly away and go off hunting by themselves. So you have to demonstrate to the bird how good you are and your effectiveness.
There's a lot to falconry, and the most important thing is conservation. I get my birds from the wild and captive breeding. here in the United States, we're allowed to trap migrating birds. A lot of the birds that migrate die. 80% of those birds die. So when you put those young birds into the hands of a falconer, and the falconer is able to teach that bird how to hunt, you know that bird's gonna survive. I like to instill into my birds that wild mentality. You know, you don't hunt, you don't eat. You don't work, you don't get paid. Because that's what they go through in the wild. I hope you guys got that. She took advantage of the height and her speed, and she dropped her lower feet and she hit it right in between the neck and the head. I'm transferring her off this duck with this pigeon meat. She won't know the difference, and I'm kind of somewhat regulating what I'm giving her. It's amazing that I'm here with a wild creature, and I just witnessed this bird do something that it's naturally gonna do, whether I had it or not. And it still blows me away that I'm able to do that. Are you good? I may not, have the fattest wallet, when I look at the mountains and Mount Tom and the whites, it's actually, it's cool to me. I can look at these mountains every day and find something beautiful about them. I grew up in a town about 40 miles away from Los Angeles called Riverside, California. That's where that journey of falconry began. It was a diverse neighborhood, a lot of single moms, my mom included, and it could sometimes be rough, and like any other kid, you had to pick and choose what crowd you wanted to hang out with. My younger brother lost his life through violence and was shot over some drug deals my brother wasn't even involved in. It was pretty fucked up, man. I was fortunate enough to put myself around friends that didn't choose to go that path. The teachers would always bring it to my attention to tell me I couldn't do something because of who I am and the color of my skin. I should be a garbage man or buy a couple of lawnmowers and cut lawns. I just pushed that shit that people were telling me that I couldn't do away. I just wanted to be outside, man. Growing up, I always had pigeons, and I watched a Cooper's hawk kill one of my pigeons, and it bummed me out, but it was also cool. And what's interesting is that at that young age, I knew that was part of nature. When I was 8 years old, some kids found a red-tailed hawk out in the street, and they brought it to me, and I raised this bird. I would walk 10 miles away from my home and find abandoned fields and flush out gophers, and my red tail would catch them. Walking in traffic through the city with this bird on my fist.
Their hunting ability is phenomenal. They're designed for that rapid chase, the stoop. Peregrine falcon can dive over 200 miles per hour, probably even faster. There's just so much to them that make them incredible predators.
The falcon is built for speed, so you'll see the pointed wings. You'll see the more sleek body shape.
Their eyes are phenomenal. They can see maybe 8 to 10 times better than a human. They typically strike their prey with an open foot, or they use a talon to rake the prey. They're a well-designed predator. So much so that military oftentimes try to design fighter planes based upon their anatomy. Most people think that falconry started 4,000 years ago in Central Asian Plateau, Persia, Middle East, then transitioned to China, Japan, Mongolia.
The villagers use these birds to get food. A lot of these countries, they've been practicing falconry before they were actually using guns. Falconry was introduced to the US through the European falconers.
In Europe, it's all these grouse moors and things like that. You got to be a wealthy person either to own a grouse moor or to lease it for a couple of months so you can fly your birds there. It's a much different world in the United States. And we have these wide open spaces and all this BLM land.
Where else in the world can you go and catch a prairie chicken or catch a pheasant or a duck on public land? That's what led me to the Eastern Sierras. It's like being a kid in a candy store. I just knew right away that I was never going to leave here. They had rodeos here in Bishop at the time, and I went to one of these classes and learned how to fight bulls.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Sean, our bullfighter.
In the summertime, I would do all the rodeos I could and save money. So during the falconry season, which is the wintertime, I would be able to travel the country. I knew that I was going to be a falconry bum. I was going to do whatever I could to expose my birds to all the different types of game in different states. I slept in my car. I slept in laundromats. I slept in a post office for 3 days. I ate Taco Bell for 2.5 weeks one time, and I didn't think twice. It's all for the birds. You done? These pens are a collection of falconry meets that I attended over the years from our national club and then our state club. I don't collect them anymore because I don't attend falconry meets anymore. I've had a couple of run-ins and some scary moments when I was traveling with my birds. I have to remember I'm a black man going into communities that some of these people never even met. The only time they see a black person is on TV. Being a young falconer and going to these falconry meets and doing well, there were some people that just didn't like it, just being the person that I am. Some guy stole one of my falcons. And in my state club, a guy walks up to me and starts poking me in my chest, calling me a nigger. I'm always looking over my shoulder. I have to worry about where I go with my birds. I have a hard time dealing with it sometimes. I really don't want to spend too much energy defending myself because if I do, then it reflects on how my birds perform. Shit. I gotta fix those feathers. That's really bad. A bird with broken feathers shows bad falconry management. I'm a believer that it's always the falconer's fault. Come here. I'm sorry. One feather on a falcon could make the difference between life and death. Birds are relying on you to care for them, and when you I feel like I let my bird down. Okay, here goes nothing. I'm doing a lot of prep and then praying that this works. Me living in a rural area, it's really hard for me to get the vet care. So over the years, even as a kid, I just learned to do a lot of the things myself. One of the things I like to teach falconers that are just getting into falconry, the first thing you do is you learn what's best for the hawk. Boom.
Falconers had an incredibly positive effect on conservation. In the 1960s, the peregrine falcon population was plummeting all over. Falconers were the ones who noticed.
See, there's that kestrel's right there. Yvonne, see it?
Would go up to the top of this thing, and finding an anchor was a problem because there's no trees and stuff up there. So I climbed down to that eyrie, and I came down with some broken eggshells.
They referred to the peregrine eggs as hot with contaminants. DDT, DDE, dieldrin, which kills birds like peregrines outright.
DDT affected the female birds' calcium production when they're laying eggs. They crack under the weight of the mother incubating. These birds just were not producing enough young to replace themselves. Falconers were just constantly experimenting.
They would watch a peregrine eyrie, and as soon as it laid eggs, they'd climb up and take the eggs, because if they sat on it, they would probably crush the eggs. So we'd steal the eggs, put some dummy eggs in.
They'd take the eggs away from the parents so they'd lay more, and they'd hatch them in incubators, and then they knew just how long they could safely feed them by hand before putting them back with the parents.
A falconer back east bred peregrines for the first time. And falconers had the expertise to handle these birds.
They were bringing back endangered raptors all over the world. From harpy eagles, falcons in Guatemala, the Mauritius kestrel, and the California condor. It was a real success. They probably learned a lot about rewilding from the peregrine.
You start talking about the recovery of the peregrine falcon, Morro Rock always comes up.
It's amazing to me that now there are 2 peregrine eyries on Morro Rock.
Right.
Like it was like one of only 2 in California in the 70s. So it's, you know, and now there's 2 right here.
Falconers basically saved the day. Without falconers, it would have been very difficult to have a peregrine recovery like we have had.
So you go all over the world with this, huh?
Yeah. You sure you don't want to fly here, man?
No, I want to see the master do it.
There are several people in America who are really at the top of their game as long-wing falconers, you know, game hawkers. And Sean's right up there. He's become world famous in a way. He's the closest thing we have to an ambassador.
We welcome Sean here in Hungary for the International Falconry Meeting. Falconry is 4,000 years old, and I'm very happy that you are one of these persons who keep falconry alive.
There's the pheasants by the side of the road.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you got it. I feel like I'm more wanted in other countries than I am in my own.
First with this one leg.
That's the biggest eagle I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
vele, hogy már ambarcsolymot láttatok.
Sean is amongst the best falconers I've flown with. He's extremely inventive, a great example of modern American falconer. Living history.
People recognize who he is and what he brings to the
I
table.
began to hunt my birds on the most difficult quarries. It's all about the flight.
I've seen him at international falconry festivals give lectures, and people flock to his lectures.
I have the opportunity to travel the world as a falconer, and it's a pleasure to be in Europe for not only the falconry, but for the people and the culture.
Certainly, Sean is an ambassador for the outdoors. When young people of color see Sean around the world, they're like, I could do that.
Falconry has helped me learn to be a lot more aware of my surroundings. My second passion, fishing, and falconry are both connected. All the different species of game birds that I catch, a lot of these feathers are used to tie flies to catch fish. One of my favorite things to do is releasing the fish. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to catch you. To let it go is just my way of actually enjoying that experience. I think about it every day that I'm able to do something that has been practiced for thousands of years. It's actually helped make me not only a better falconer, but it's actually, I think, helped make me a better person. When I go out and trap a bird, once we build that relationship for a season or two, when I release it, I know that bird is going to be a good hunter and it's going to survive. We will never know what these raptors are really capable of doing. That's how incredible they are.